nobody can live your life for you. But as soon as you follow somebody else's indoctrination or somebody else's belief or pattern or do something to keep somebody else happy, then you're being inauthentic to yourself. And a question I like to get clients to do is, how long do I have to sit in this until I decide to do something different?
Debz is a stressologist. She will stretch your mindset to think bigger than you've ever thought before, with follow-through techniques that are realistic and achievable to blow any fear out of your mind. Moira is a mindset cultivator. She will help you align your personal trinity of self-trust, inner awareness, and self-confidence so that you discover and share your unique gifts and purpose. Together, their goal with these conversations is to share how our inclinations do not always work in our best interest and to provide the knowledge to leverage the gifts that already exist within each one of us. Their desire is to help you learn how to access the habits and behaviors that will lead to positive change and your best quality of life. Welcome to your deliciously motivated mindset.
Hello there, dear Deb.
Hi.
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 Here's me being all mellow. And here's Deb.
Ta-da! Miss Turkey. Hi. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
It's Deb and Moira with another deliciously motivating conversation.
Da, 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 da.
We just needed to get that little piece of intro music.
Wait for Deb to start singing.
Yes, sing us in there, Deb.
Da, da, da,
So before we get into discussing, we've got a good topic today. We always say that we always have a good topic to talk about.
when we do these topics, when we go, what are we going to talk about? We just get excited. We do. We get like, yeah, just like that giggly like you now. We're like, oh, what are we going to talk about? Oh, yeah,
That's what we get to talk about.
Yeah, this is a goodie, and then it comes around on our list. We go, oh, this is a goodie.
I know, and they're always better than the other ones. But
I know,
they're all good. They're all good.
This one I had to we laughed at because we were just literally talking about something, and then we sort of finished our pre-talk because we clearly talk before we do our podcast. Yeah,
before we start recording, basically.
That's it. And then you went, well, today's the sinking of the universe. I don't even know how you said it, and we're like, oh, what's today? And we're like, oh, we've just been talking about that. So yeah, maybe we could record our pre.
Oh,
so
we
people
should
know
do that one day, just to see the bloopers and outtakes. And
yeah, or maybe not,
maybe not.
Okay,
maybe not.
I know the question you're going to ask me.
Well, I actually think that in our last one, we made a deal that I was supposed to do it first.
Oh, right. Okay, done. Oh, yeah. Yes, right. You, young lady, you go first.
So, dear listeners, what we like to do is we rate ourselves on a scale of 0 to 10. 10 is being so stressed out and needing help and feeling like, oh my God, nothing I do is helping me. And 0 is I'm totally zen, completely calm, blissed out. And we like to just check in and give ourselves a rating at the beginning of the conversation, and then at the end we check back in. So for me, this is what I'm saying is usually I ask Deb this and then she gets upset because she picks a number and then I get to go above or below it.
Yeah, she always trumps me.
And so for me, we actually did really have an awesome conversation. I'm going to say I'm at a 2 today. I am feeling really pretty good. Pretty good.
I'm actually going to say a 2 as well. I'd like to say a 1. I'm actually going to say a 2 as well because that's where I was thinking. But on the subject we're talking about, I'm a 0.
Yes.
I'm just going to say that. And I believe you will be a 0 on the subject. And people are going, what is this?
Oh my God,
subject?
Tell us the subject. What's the
subject? You just have to wait, people. But I would say I'm a 2 right here, right now. Mm-hmm. But on the subject, I'm definitely a 0 and neutral and...
Yeah, I would completely agree with you. So look at that. We are on the same wavelength.
Of course we are.
So what we want to talk about today is we're going to ask you, and you'll need to contemplate this, dear listeners. Are you living the life you chose? This is a very interesting one, because to me, I think that a lot of our listeners will be looking at it and thinking, well, of course I am. Of course I'm living the life I chose.
First answer, yeah, of course I am. And then when you start thinking and soul searching deeper, am I?
Absolutely, am I? Because, so here's the thing, and that energy is, whose beliefs do you follow? Whose thoughts do you think? Before we came on to record, we were talking about our own upbringings, and I was sharing that as the firstborn, I'm the oldest of 5 girls, and so therefore I'm a pretty high achiever. I really want people to see me. I want to take care of people. I want to shine. I want to achieve what I'm setting out to. And so I used to ask my father for guidance, which he wouldn't give, because he was very much you're going to figure it out yourself type of attitude. But in hindsight, it was always that he had an agenda. Like, yeah, go and do it your way, figure it out yourself, but you'd better make the choices that I would make for you, or that make me happy. So this is why, if we completely cave into those, then we can conceivably make choices that then project us into our life that aren't ours. We're doing it to keep somebody else happy, or to gain approval, or to gain acceptance in some way. Does that make sense? Obligation, absolutely.
And we know when we live outside our, and I'm going to say soul, S-O-U-L, our soul calling, when we live outside our soul calling, we get a lot of conflict, distractions, low vibe energy, shite that comes in and slaps us to wake us up to what's really important to us.
Exactly. But then, you know, the other thing that just feeling into that as you were describing that, Deb, is I don't want to do this, is feeling resistant in it yourself, right? So yes, when you're walking to the beat of somebody else's drum, you're going to start saying, but I don't want to do that. Even if it's just quiet at first, you can then start saying, but I don't want to do that. I have this other rhythm in me. I have this other beat. And I want to go and groove to that beat, not this one.
Well, it shuts down your juices flowing, and you end up taking out what somebody else is doing, and you will never, in my perception, you'll never achieve to what they want, because they haven't explained to you, we would like your life to go this way, and you're jumping on their train because they haven't described it enough for you to get it quotations in there, perfect in their eyes, and you're just going to keep trying and trying and trying to up a level for perfection from them, instead of actually going, what sits right with me, what it is. And when we have energy, when you put your energy into something and it's somebody else telling you what to do, you're not giving that soul searching energy, you're not giving that creativity juicing flowing that's yours and part of that, and people can pick that up. Listeners, when you do something out of obligation, or you see people do something out of obligation, you can clearly see that they're obligated to do it, or there's something going on, and you can see that, and you just go, oh, even though you want to be part of their, jump on their train and be part of that, you can also see that, oh no, that's not right. They're not in flow.
Right. Yeah. There's no flow there. But and that's a really interesting point, because that's just the feeling of it. You feel that it's not right. But then if you are a people pleaser, or you want to be accepted by people that then
Sucker.
but you may go along with it, and then try and explain it, try and intellectualize about why you're feeling resisty, or feeling stuck, or feeling like, well, I just really don't want to do this. But sometimes it's because you're not being as honest with yourself as you need to. Right?
Well, we do live in a world that we don't want to upset people.
Yes.
And that's common, and that's okay. And especially older people, we don't upset our grandparents, or we don't want to upset our parents. Well, most people. Some people out there determined to just, but we don't want to upset people. But this is not about doing things to upset people. When you take your true path, you're actually doing it because it sits right with you, because you're the one who has to live and breathe every day. You're the one who has to go to sleep at night with your decisions.
Yeah.
You're the one who has to make those decisions that are congruent for you, not to please other people, because you're only going to attract. Now, you talked about the Velcro. This is the stuff that you're going to pick up, that Velcro stuff again.
That negativity has way too much Velcro. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's that same analogy again, because when you're living the life that someone else chose you to do, you're going to pick up the fluff, the bits are stuck between the Velcro until you peel it back.
Well, you are. And so the thing is nobody can live your life for you. But as soon as you follow somebody else's indoctrination or somebody else's belief or pattern, or do something to keep somebody else happy, then you're being inauthentic to yourself. And so it's like, we're not saying any of this to make anybody feel bad or wrong about being in a limiting or a situation where they feel manipulated, or they maybe feel like, I don't like this. But it's time to start sitting into it. And a question I like to get clients to do is, how long do I have to sit in this until I decide to do something different? Right?
Yeah.
So I may need to sit and do something in a specific way, or tolerate some kind of energy, or put up with a belief that's not really mine, until it doesn't serve me anymore, until I realize I am the driver of my bus and I get to choose. And that's what we're talking about, is, are you living the life that you choose? Right?
And I think I love what you've said. The other thing I'm just going to add to that is, you can change at any moment. So even though you chose to be a primary school teacher, when you have 6 months to go on your registration, you can choose to stop and go do something else if that's what you want, or finish it and then not be a primary school. Once you've got your qualifications, then not be it. This is all about you, but you can change anything and everything whenever you feel like it.
Well said.
And I think that's the important thing.
That is so well said, because so often, and I don't know if you I'm sure you have examples of, and you may have even done this yourself. If I make this change, what will people say? Or what will people think of me? I know I have done that in the past. I've held myself in a situation for longer than I needed to, or longer than was probably right for me. We've talked about this before. I was in a cult for 2 years. I had the conversation in my own mind. I knew it wasn't right. I knew it wasn't the best place for me to be. I probably stayed in there for 7 months longer than was necessary for me, because of that conversation.
Wow. 7 months.
Yep.
And some people can then go, like for me, holy moly, 7 months. You lost 7 months of your life to stay there. No, you didn't lose 7 months. Yeah. You analyzed, you spent that time soul searching of those 7 months to go, okay, is it really important for me to do what's right for me, or what other people will think of me? And if it took you 7 months, that's definitely a life lesson that's going to stick to you, not a textbook learning, but a life lesson that's going to stick to you, to decide when it comes to the next decision, you're going to go, I'm not going to spend 7 months deciding on this one, because this is very similar.
Precisely. And that is the biggest gift from that experience, is that is like over 30 years ago that I'm talking about. And that lesson serves me so well now, because I can see from a mile off when somebody's feeding me some indoctrination thing of, oh, you got to belong to this group or you got to do it this way. It's like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
And to your point, change can happen so fast. It's all about what do you choose for yourself. Are you choosing to show up for yourself too?
It is very challenging, and as a parent, as a parent, try and let my daughter, who's turning 20, let her make her own decisions.
Yes.
And I've definitely parented my daughter differently to my sister, who's brought a sister and husband, and also to my parents, the way they brought me up. I've definitely parented. I'm more, here's your rope, run with it and hang yourself or fall or trip or whatever and just keep running. You know, I'm a try it. Just know there's consequences with everything. But I know when it comes to choosing the life, there was definitely things I wanted her to do growing up. I'm like, I want you to give the best education. I want you to, you know, this, and this. And when it came to making those decisions, I was like, well, what brings you joy? What do you love to do? And because that's what I do in my business. And so I just put my business knowledge in and treated her potentially like a client. Like, what do you love to do? Yeah. What brings you joy, spark, lights you up? Now, how can you monetize that? How can you do that? She was going to go to university purely because she had 3 friends that she wanted to stay with. And she said, Mom, I have to go to university and we all have to study the same thing. And I'm like, sweetheart, we call university over here university. You call it college. And well, they call it college in America. So it's high school and then it goes to university. And she was going to study something that she did not want to study because her 3 friends were studying. And I'm just sitting there going, far out, how do I get this across to her? So I tried lots and lots of different angles. But what actually happened was her 3 friends started doing some crazy stuff that didn't sit in alignment with her morals and ethics. Okay. So she then chose to step away from her friends. And it was an amicable thing. And so then she just said, okay, now what am I going to do? Because it took that option away of university and studying that. What am I going to do now?
Right.
You know, and that was, the decision was made for me with that. I didn't even have to try and push her and poke her, but she actually came to that conclusion herself. And that was such a relief without me having, because she was going to study something she didn't want to do, but she was doing it purely for 3 school friends. Right. And I'm like, mate, 5 years down the track, these aren't even going to be your friends. You Absolutely. Know, 10 years, or even a year down the track, something's going to happen because this, you know, they may not necessarily be there. But she didn't. She chose her own path, and that was a relief. So I didn't have to make that decision. I did not make that decision. I didn't have to probe her.
You didn't have to have that conversation.
Yeah. It happened naturally. You know. Yeah.
But you know, you bring up a really interesting perspective there. It's something that I've looked at and had conversations about this before, is that I believe that if we go along with something, like let's say she did decide to go to university to keep her friends happy. When we do something just to appease the other, and then let's say further down the line they say, well, let's go and do this because to their mind you like it, right? So to this point, Sophie's subject, somebody offers her another opportunity about it, and she goes, no, I hate it.
And I know that would have happened. Yeah.
In that moment, that person that she went along with just because to keep them happy is betrayed. Because I don't know about you, but I do not ever want somebody to be doing something with me just because I have to go along with what she wants, right? That to me is a form of betrayal, because no, I'd much rather you say, no, you know what, have fun, go for it yourself. I'm going to go do my thing.
And I think about that with one of my personal assistants I had many years ago, and she literally just stayed with me for the money. But I could feel her energy was like, oh, I've got to go do this work, and I've got to do this, and I've got to type this up, and I've got to chase this up. And it wasn't inspiring to her until I pulled her aside and I said, what's really going on? Like, what is literally going on with you? Your whole energy is down. I can see it. I can feel it. I definitely don't want this, whatever this is, into my business. Let's stop, reflect, look at it. And she said, and she finally confessed, I'm with you because of the money.
Right.
And I went from 0 to 100.
I bet you did. I bet you did.
And then I said, I could feel it. And I said, I just need to step out for a moment. I said, you have to hold those thoughts. I just need to
stamp my feet and punch something.
Yeah, exactly. There was a few colourful words came out in my mind. And then I went back and I really thanked her for her honesty, because I could see it. So I said, is there anything in this role that you actually like doing that we can do more of? You know, and she did. She said there was something she liked doing. And I said, okay, let's really look at that. If you can find someone to replace me, recruit someone to replace the other stuff and do that. And she started doing it, but then it also fell into that obligation as well. So we both agreed to let her go. Right. But this is the thing with in business as well. It's the whole thing. You know, I used to be an executive assistant, or PA, whatever. Executive assistant just meant more money. And there would be tasks that I didn't want to do. So was I choosing the life that living the life that I chose? Yes, but there was tasks in there you don't want to do. Now, every day there's tasks you may not want to do.
Absolutely.
And that's whether you do that. So you can either choose to outsource them or suck it up or find another way or whatever works for you. But know that your whole, like the whole being your personal assistant, executive assistant, whatever, is what you chose, if that's what you chose.
A quick wee message before we get back to this episode. You can get access to a special gift Moira and Debz have put together for you. Go to deliciously-motivated-mindset.com/gift. When you sign up, you'll receive instant access to an inner peace kit and the 30 Days of Wisdom program, both of which is intended to help you feel deliciously motivated right away. Go to deliciously-motivated-mindset.com/gift.
Because I agree with you that there are things that we all need to do, but sometimes if we get stuck in that energy of, oh, this sucks, I don't want to do it, and having we pity parties or crosswords in your head, maybe it's important to take a bigger viewpoint, like step back and look at the whole picture. Because I don't know about you, I am willing to do things that I don't really like if I know immediately it's going to create something better or it's in alignment with what I've chose, right? You and I've talked before about, we both do Facebook Lives.
I was just thinking that.
Yes, that's a perfect example of it, isn't it? It's that I actually really love doing them now, but I've been doing them for about 2 years.
Now I do.
Yeah, and I know you do too. But I can remember when I was just, I swear I went through about a year of saying, I know I should do them, but then when I got really clear on it's part of my mission, it's part of my calling to share this whole letting go piece that I do. And then I had to kind of hold my own hand and say, I'm doing things that I don't really want to do. I would love to outsource that, but can't outsource being me, right?
Can't. Here's my script. Go put my quirkiness in there. Off you go, people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But that's exactly it. So it's part of on the train. It's another carriage on the train to get your message out there, which is important. And it's just like the podcast. I know I've listened to my podcast and I go, God, do I really sound like that? Oh my gosh. And I realize how much I laugh and those sort of things, as I laugh again, those sort of things. But it's part of getting the message out there to help somebody, which is for the greater, because that's definitely the life I chose. For me, so I'm a global stressologist. I help people deal with stress and unclutter their mind. And I don't know, there's a million frickin' elevator pitches that come into mind, and I just struggle with I don't have one set elevator pitch, clearly, because I didn't listen to my mentor. right back
And that's
15 years
good.
ago.
That's good.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
thank goodness for that. But for me, when I came to this, I was an executive assistant, and which is basically I remember saying to one of my assistants, not my assistant, one of my bosses, I said, I'm like your wife, but without the, the intimacy of that there. But you know so much about that person, and you're just basically diarising, you're living their life with them to make sure they've got food, if you've got a high executive, make sure they've got the food in the house, the kids are all sorted, it's just basically like that. And to move from that to this role was very, very different. And I had a lot of people who knew me as a personal assistant, executive assistant, who were just like, how are you going to do that? And I'm like, well, this is what I did every day. I help people already. You'd have clients ring up, my boss's clients ring up and they'd have problems. And so you'd start helping them, or you'd help your boss get through and you'd find solutions and everything. So I've just really changed. It's still the same sort of stuff. I'm on the same sort of train, but I've got different skills that I've brought in, and now it's packaged way more differently. But it did cause a large conflict because I was a single mum with my family, and my friends saying, you're not going to be able to do that. You're not going to make money from that. You're not going to do this. And, yes, admittedly for the first, bit, I didn't, but I knew I would go to the bleeding knuckles type thing to help people. And I still do, although now I have sleep in between. But I still do it. But even though the conflict was right there of, you're not going to make any money doing that. There's so many people out there. You're just a life coach. You're just this. And it's like,
But
the more you throw that, the more I rise.
Yes. And awesome. Because do you know what? Feeling into what you just described says that you were on track. You got it. You saw your true north, your guiding star, if you like. And it was like, it didn't matter. People saying, ridiculing you or saying you'll never get that. But the fact that you could see the continuum, regardless of what it is, what role you're playing, you're still using those same skill sets of helping people. And to be honest with you, I call myself a mindset cultivator, and I help people let go of what's got them playing small and maybe not living the life that they're choosing. But for me, I'm a big picture thinker. I'm a solution finder. I will always look at what is and help people accept what is, rather than run away or put your head under the blankets. And when I look back at my life, I've been doing it all along. I too come from a corporate background. I was an office manager. So look at the correlation between being an office manager who is managing resources and problem solving and finding the best way and translating things for people to understand. I just basically shifted that skill set into what I'm doing now. Just doing it on a deeper level for sure.
So most people have that pattern. I've found most people have had that pattern all the way through. So they've been doing it anyway, but without, because if someone said, oh, you're a PA, now you're fixing people's minds. It's like, yeah, what did I do as a PA? I fixed everything. I was, I did that anyway. So you'll notice that there is definitely a pattern, even though people say, but they're worlds apart. I used to run events. What was that? Finding solutions to shortcutting things in a quick goddamn time frame, as quick as I could, so there was definitely that structure right along. I did security for my mother's security business. That was finding solutions to stop people from stealing and and doing what the other stuff that they were doing that we could all get through. It was all around that. So it's exactly what I'm doing. I've just boxed it differently, if I was to say that.
And so I really encourage our listeners to tap into that. Can you see a common thread? Regardless of the roles you've played, the patterns that you've been involved in, the choices you've made in, is there a common thread, and are you following it? Because this is insight into, are you living by choice, or are you forgetting that you are the driver of your own bus?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly it. And who has told you to do what?
Exactly.
Who is that? Is because our parents play such a massive part. Our parents, our children, our friends, who are those influences that have told you should, it's that goddamn word should, isn't it? You should do this. You know, who are those people that are so important to you to bring that in?
Right, but see that should thing brings into to assumptions, because you know a story came to mind as you were saying that, and this is in my office management. Actually was in Scotland for this management job. Came in as a very young manager, and so some of the staff that I was managing were in their retirement years, so they were like 60s and upwards. And I will always remember this pretty hefty conversation where I was changing a protocol in this office and asking for the staff to do things in a slightly different way.
I know those ones. Yes.
Yes. And was told immediately that I had no right to ask for that. And so I'm saying, well, why? Because my proposal was way more efficient. The young staff all got it. They were, yeah, this is great. They really liked it. But that older staff member who had been in that job for almost 40 years said, nope, it can't be done that way because it's always been done this way. And that was it.
Yeah.
There was no backing up. There was no explanation of why the old way worked better. It was just, nope, don't rock the boat. Right.
That so reminds me of one that I did. I used to work for a district health board, and I came into work there, and it was very, very funny because I came in and I went executive assistant, and I went, oh my gosh, okay, I'm going to change this, and I put about 7 or 8 changes in the first week that I was there, and the CEO pulled me aside and said, you are to do 1 change a month. And you are not doing anything in the first month. Right. And I said, but I'm only here for a year. And he said, you cannot do that. And it was a smaller, I'm not going to say a smaller town, definitely a backward town, you know, but I wasn't allowed to, he said, nothing in the first month. He said, you've got people set in their ways. It's just one change a month. That's it. And put your priority in. And that was like, there is no priority. I want them all done. But because people can't handle change so quickly. Right. So it was literally 1 a month. And that first month was hard. So I had to prioritize what's really important. But it was perfect because it humbled me enough to go, don't come in as the leader that you know more than everybody here. Just see how it works. Absolutely. And that was very important for me, not to, because I came in cocky and just said, well, this is easy. I'll just change all the stuff that I used to do. It's really easy for me. But people who are so set in their ways are very hard to change.
Well, and so that's an interesting point, because I actually did get my own way with that staff member. But you know how I did it? She only performed 1 role. And actually I found out that she thought that she should have been the manager. So
that's usually the one.
Yeah, she had a thing about me right from the beginning.
Yeah.
But then she found out that I actually could do every single job in that entire office. I could do the typing, I could answer the phones, I could do the finance sheets, I could go and even help because there's architects, so I could go and even run the plotting machine.
Okay.
And so and I will always remember the day that I went in and it was a switchboard. This is going back a long time ago.
Oh my God, the switchboard. Okay.
So I'm running the switchboard and she sees me that I'm running this. And so she decided to maybe start looking at some of my suggestions.
Maybe she just, but that's super cool that she humbled herself to go, okay, maybe this woman does have something.
Yeah.
Maybe this woman does have something. And it is our ego. It is our ego that gets in the way. Oh, and especially because, of course, she wanted that job.
That's right.
You know, I remember I had I worked in a department store, and what are they called when they call you in and they do your assessment once a year or every 6 months?
Evaluation.
Yeah, that's it, evaluation.
Yeah.
And my boss, it was the office manager and me, and she said, what job can you see yourself doing in a year? Mm-hmm. And I said, your job, but it'll be less than that.
Good for
I
you.
had no idea that's offensive. Don't ask that flipping question. I said yours, because I generally could see it. I've been saying to my parents, I said yours, but it'll be less than a year. And well, that was
So you
conflict.
got demerit points for that.
So I did. I actually got pulled into the CEO and somebody else in HR, and we had to have a big meeting and everything. I said, but I can see I can do her job, and this is how I would do it. So I laid out all these strategies because I've been thinking about it, and they were like, oh, I said, bring her in here. Well, I can talk about it. And they were like, no, Deborah, no. I ended up leaving in the end because it was too much for the older woman who was there, which was easy for me to leave, easier for me to go out. Yeah, but don't ask the question.
That is
for that answer. But
that's funny. But you see, here's to the point, though. It makes you think that somebody like her reacting that way maybe wasn't living the life she chose. Maybe
going
she was
back now, I know
a whole bunch.
Yeah, now going back to what I know now in body language and behaviors and everything, I look at that. She was not inspired to be there.
Yeah.
You know, she didn't, and it was, you know, it wasn't about, she just wasn't that into it from my perception now looking in.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if she's going to listen in on this podcast. Yes, you know who you are. I'm not even going to mention your name. Definitely won't mention your name.
You're funny. You're funny. But no, because to me, if I was in a role doing a staff evaluation and somebody answered to me that way, I would have celebrated it, because I would then said, wow, this person has gumption, they have drive, they have vision, that they're naming and claiming where they want to be. I mean,
well, I said it very quickly too, and I remember the CEO said you could have paused before you you could have paused and thought about it before you answered. I'm like, but it was true. I've been talking about it with my parents.
The truth.
I know I hadn't, and he said if you had paused, it may have been a little bit of a softer blow. And I said, but I don't know. And I was still perplexed with the whole thing. Like, but she asked a question. Like, if you ask a question, be prepared for any answer. Yeah, whatever it is. I may not, but I was like, oh, I know what I want because I've been talking about it. And these are the things I would change. So I had a list of everything because I'd been obviously generally thinking about it. So when she asked the question, I was super excited, like, oh, I can start talking about this. But no.
Start showing that I am actually choosing my life path here.
That's exactly it. Yeah, I'm definitely living the life that I was to choose, but not in her mind.
That's a really interesting piece too, because I'm thinking back, and I shared a wee bit about my upbringing, about making choices on my own and wanting to think for myself. Typically, we are sort of chastised for that. Like, who are you to name that? You haven't suffered enough, or you haven't put in your time enough. You haven't gone to school long enough, or had the hard knocks that you should.
Yeah, should. Yeah, well, you're too young. You're too young without the life experiences. I know growing up, I definitely wanted to be a policewoman. That was my thing. Mm-hmm. And my mother had a security business, and so I saw that side of it. But Mum was, Dad, I don't recall giving any input, but Mum was definitely like, oh, I don't know. Because I saw the glory side of it. She saw the other side of it from what she had experienced. So it was definitely, she had edged me not to do it, but was there supporting me if I was going to do it. Mm-hmm. And as it was, I didn't go ahead and did it. But, I know when my daughter said to me, I'd like to be a policewoman, I was left with, oh, no, because there's way more complications now in society with the drugs than when I was back then. Back then it was minor drugs that people lose their stuff over. But now, you're more likely to be damaged, emotionally. Mm-hmm. Than back when I was younger. So it was you're living the life you chose. But Mum and Dad were what suits you, what do you want to do? But Mum still talks about if I paint her toenails or something, she's like, oh, I wish you were a beautician. It's like, but it wasn't something that I wanted to do. It was definitely something I was good at. So
Right.
for me, I could easily do it because I'd always do my auntie's toenails or anything. If they ever came over, I'd always bring out the big 50 different colours. What colour do you want? You know, and do all that. But Mum was like, oh, she's going to be a beautician. She dyes everybody's eyelashes. And like, no, it wasn't for me.
No, and because that's just something that you did for fun.
Yeah.
That's your creativity part, just not necessarily your calling, right?
And it's still important to me because I still go to the best nail technician, the best beauty place, the best hair. You know, I still go to those things because they're still
Right.
important to me, but not for me to do myself.
No, and I completely agree with you. It's something I actually have ongoingly conversation with clients. I think it's really, really important for all of us to have some kind of creativity, to have a creative outlet, even if it is to just brainstorm, you know, do your creative pastime while you just chill and have epiphanies land for what you want to do in your business.
So to the listeners here, look at what you were doing before, what you were doing growing up, and look at the synchronicities and how they all link, you know, because you all see that stuff, you know, and to creativity, you know, I still create people's businesses. They come with an idea and we go, how can we unpack that? What can we, you know, so it's still all there, those similarities that I've had. It's just packaged differently.
Yeah,
now.
Absolutely. So yeah, find the common theme because it's there. That thread is there. So it's about you lifting off the filters and the layers to actually recognize it within yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So dear listeners, we've come to the end of our conversation and we'd like to just check back in on a scale of 0 to 10. Where would you say?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, you first, Moira. You first.
Me first. Okay, what did I say? I started at a 2.
You were 2. We were both a 2.
I'm coming down to a 1. I actually really enjoyed that, diving down into the memory lane and looking at different pieces on that. I'm not going to say 0. I doubt that I would ever say I'm at a 0, but I still with what you said, I am at a 0 on the topic that we just did. Because
definitely
I know
a 0 on the
beyond
topic.
the shadow of a doubt, I am completely choosing.
Yeah, I would definitely a 0 on that, and I would possibly say I'm a 0, but I don't. It's just like you. I don't want to say 0 because then that's it.
I'm going to say then.
Yeah, I know. So I'm going to say a 1 as well, purely because of that. But I'm definitely a 0 on living the life I chose because I'm 100% doing that.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, that was a good one because I just thought about having a child. I didn't choose to have a child. That came about. Okay. Yep. Okay. I'm talking about in business. Well, I did choose to have a child. I clearly did. There's another side swipe of that one. Okay, now I'm going back down to a 2. Okay. A 1. 1.5. No, I'm a 1. But am I living the life I chose? Absolutely. That is definitely a 0.
Awesome.
So let us know, people. Let us know. Drop us a message.
Yeah, and let us know if we can be any support or service to you in actually finding that common thread and connecting the dots for yourself.
Yeah, I'd love to know what you were doing the last couple of jobs, if there has been a couple of jobs, you know, and what that is. Yeah, post it. Let us know. That would be inspiring to see. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Deb. This has been a good conversation. Thank you, listeners.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.